Hello students, welcome to the channel once again. Students, I would like to tell you one thing, that now the videos will be posted on Pratibha International School channel, the official channel of Pratibha School, and I want you all to comment there itself. Okay, I want you all to comment your presentee there. Okay, fine. And if you have any queries, you will be commenting your queries on the Pratibha International School channel on YouTube. Okay, the links are sent to you now, the videos that are already present on Pratibha International School. Okay, sorry. Next thing, very important thing that I would like to tell is that Chiranjeev Chabi from class 8th C, his article, a short story, has been published in Times NIE. So I want each and every child to give him a big round of applause, and I want you all to read the story that he has written. It's written really wonderfully, and I want each and every student to get inspired from that story. But one thing I want to make sure is that whenever you are any child who is watching this video, if you are sending the this article to Times NIE, I want you all to email the school as well, so that the school is already informed about it. Okay, and the school can publish that the same thing in their Facebook page too. So if you are informing the school prior itself, or you have to inform the school also officially, right students? Okay, so I expect you to give a huge round of applause for Chiranjeev Chabi, and I want y'all also to get inspired from him and try to do the same. Okay, so students, today is the 7th. I am going to take revision of, this is the second part of revision, and I am going to take from lesson 6. Lesson number 6 we are going to do, lesson number 7 we are going to do, and lesson number 8 and lesson number 9. So 6 to 9 revision we are going to do. So in the revision, students, I would like to tell you that I will be taking revision, all the creative writing skills and everything, all these things I'll be covering in the revision. So I want you to watch the video till the end, and if you have not subscribed to the channel, you can subscribe this channel also, and don't unsubscribe from the earlier channel, that is my personal channel. If you are unsubscribed, make sure that you subscribe, because extra inputs and extra information will be posted there, that will not be related to the school as such, but that will be related to English related content I'll be posting there. So if you are thinking that you will unsubscribe from my personal channel and subscribe here, don't do this. You can remain subscribed to both the channel. It will be very helpful for me, students. Okay, this is what I wanted to tell you all. Okay, don't unsubscribe from my channel. You can subscribe both the channels, my personal channel also and Pratibha School official channel also. So students, we'll move towards lesson number 6. So lesson number 6 was, students, on the grasshopper and the cricket, students. Okay, so on the grasshopper and the cricket was written by John Keats, and we know that it was a sonnet. So we'll brush up. I know you I had made 2 videos on sonnets like that. So one wherein I had explained you about the Petrarchan sonnet, and the other video I had explained you about the Shakespearean sonnet. So I want you to watch that video. I'll make sure that I put the link in the description, so that you go back to those videos and you revise. Okay, it is not that I'll not take the revision now, I'll be taking the revision now also, right students? Okay, so we know that on the grasshopper and the cricket is a Petrarchan sonnet. It is a Petrarchan sonnet, students. Okay, so if you observe over here, okay, so I'll just zoom it. Okay, yeah, so students, if you observe over here, you see Petrarchan sonnet. So this is the rhyme scheme. I'll be providing you with the links wherein I have explained you about rhyme scheme also in detail. So do not forget to click down in the description box, right? So you see the rhyme scheme of the Petrarchan sonnet is A B B A. So these are 8 lines totally. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Okay, so these 8 lines are called as the octave. So octave means 8. Okay, next C D E. These are 1 2 3 4 5 6. The next 6 lines are called as sestet. So we know that students, that a sonnet is a 14 line poem. So 8 plus 6 is 14, right students? So first 8 lines are called as octave, and the next 6 lines are called as sestet. Okay, so here if you see in the Shakespearean sonnet, if you observe, this is a quatrain. Okay, A B. Quarter means 4. Okay, so this is called as quatrain. Okay, so next quatrain is C D. Next quatrain is E F, and the couplet is G and G. Okay, because the ending of the words of both the lines rhyme with each other. Okay, so you see the poetic turn, the sudden poetic turn is between the third quatrain and the rhyming couplet. Okay, and over here the poetic turn is between octave and sestet in Petrarchan sonnet. Okay, in Shakespearean sonnet there are 3 quatrains: A B, C D, E F, and then in the last we have this couplet. But in the Petrarchan sonnet, that is On the Grasshopper and the Cricket, written by John Keats, is a Petrarchan sonnet, and the rhyme scheme is A B B, which is an octave, and then there's a sudden poetic turn, and then we have C D E. Okay students, so I hope you all have understood this Petrarchan sonnet and the Shakespearean sonnet. And if you want to go in detail, we have that Petrarchan sonnet was introduced or was invented by the Italian poet Francisco Petrarch, and Shakespearean sonnet was obviously widely and precisely used by William Shakespeare, because it was used in the Elizabethan era. That is why it was earlier known as Elizabethan sonnet, right? Because Queen Elizabeth's reign was that time. Okay, that time it was widely used. That is why the name was after Queen Elizabeth, not this Elizabeth, the Elizabeth 500, almost 500 years ago, the Elizabeth I. Okay, so in her reign this sonnet was used widely. But what had happened, that Shakespeare used this sonnet so beautifully and so precisely that it came to be known as later as Shakespearean sonnet. Okay, so you can call Shakespearean sonnet as Elizabethan sonnet, because during the time of Elizabeth I, this sonnet was used widely. But later on, Shakespeare also used this sonnet very, very widely. That is why it is known as, and very perfectly, that is why it came to be known as Shakespearean sonnet later on. Okay, and next is the rhyme scheme of Petrarchan sonnet. By now I think it should be memorized, students, by you. So it is A B B, C D E, wherein A B B together is called as octave, and C D E is together called as sestet. Then we have Shakespearean sonnet. So in Shakespearean sonnet we have 3 quatrains: A B, C D, E F. Then we have the rhyming couplet. Okay, and then there are in Petrarchan sonnet we have many other variations, but now at this level we'll only be studying these 2 sonnets in detail, right students? Okay, I hope you all have understood this, right? Okay, So now, if you go on page number 60 of your literature reader, students, you'll find writing skills. So you have to write, think about a place with natural beauty. You have to think about a place that has a natural beauty. It might be any of your place that you have already visited, or you want to visit, it is your dream place. Any place will be acceptable, okay students? So you will be so it could be a place you have visited, or you have read about, or you have watched on TV. Write 3 paragraphs on the place. Describe the flora and fauna of the area. So flora means the vegetation, what all grows in that area, what kind of trees do you find, what kind of flowers, what kind of vegetation do you find, that is called as flora. And fauna means animals, what kind of animals do you find there, which is the main animal that is found there. Okay, all these things you have to write at least 3 paragraphs. Okay, and you will write in a way that you will topic of the sentence you'll write, then you have to introduce the main idea, like what is the main thing. Might be the culture is different, the culture is something different, anything that you want to highlight, that you are going to write, right? Then you are going to write supporting sentence to elaborate the main idea. So here, as students, I'll make it clear that I'll not be spoon feeding you by providing you a ready made thing. This is your creative writing. So, and just I want to clear one thing, that creative writing is something that you write from your mind and your creativity. It is not something that you copy paste and write, right students? So I want you to write it from your point of view, but the technical details, like what is found there, what kind of vegetation is there, you can take the little help of Wikipedia also, but the framing of the sentences must be done by you. You can write this, students. This is your today's activity, 7th standard students, and you will write this and send me through email. You can even send a Word file, no need to write it in the class workbook or anything like that, right students? I hope you're understanding. Okay, concluding sentence. So everything that in the introduction, then the body, whatever you have written, you will summarize everything, and that will be your concluding statement. What is the meaning of concluding statement? Concluding statement means the ending statement. How would you like to end it? Okay, so this is what I want to say. Okay, so I hope you have understood this much. And next we go to Uncle Podger hangs a picture. So in lesson number 7 we had already studied that Uncle Podger hangs a picture. So here Uncle Podger is a very funny character who tries to hang a picture on the wall, but he is making a mess of the whole house. He's troubling each and every person in the house. 6 to 7 people he is appointing just to help him to hang that picture on the wall, and it took him almost till midnight to hang that too the picture was crooked. So I have already explained you students this chapter, and if you have not understood, I want you to go back to that link and watch it again, right students? Okay, so what you're going to do is, in this you will have character analysis. Now what is a character analysis? So character means a person from the from the story or from the poem. Okay, so that is a character, right? So here the main character we have Uncle Podger, and now we are going to analyze his characteristics. So how we are going to analyze means you have to read. Okay, first you'll have to read, you'll have to understand what kind of a person Uncle Podger is. How is he? Is he intelligent? Is he funny? Is he humorous? Or is he a bad tempered guy? Okay, so all these things you'll understand only when you read the lesson thoroughly. Okay, so what kind of emotions this person has? Is he very short tempered? Does he get irritated quite easily? All these things you have to analyze, and to analyze, first you'll have to read the lesson thoroughly. Okay, you just can't sit and analyze in one place, because to analyze a character you'll have to read excuse me, you'll have to read the lesson thoroughly, and then only you will be able to analyze the character. Okay, students? So, and analysis is something that if you read and you'll get little hints about his character, you will analyze it quite easily. Okay, so this is the tip that I'm giving you, that to read the chapter twice or thrice, understand what hints the author is giving to the reader about the character, and then that is the analysis, right, students? Okay. So we'll just go to the further slides. Wait just a minute. I'll just... Just a minute, students. Okay, so this is the character definition of character sketch. Definition is given, students. If you look on the slide carefully, so definition is given, right? Just a minute. Yeah. So a character sketch is a short description of the character based on their traits. Now, what is the trait? What is the meaning of trait? Trait means nothing but their basic nature. Okay, so any description that is giving you, suppose if you want to write about someone, suppose you want to write a character sketch of your parents, one of your parents, like for example your mother. So what are the traits of your mother? Traits means what is the habit, what is the nature. She's warm, she's polite, she is understanding, she's loving, she's caring. This is called as the traits. Okay, so similarly in the character sketch of Uncle Podger, you are going to write the traits. Now how you'll understand what is the trait of Uncle Podger, what is his personality? So you'll have to go back to the lesson and you'll have to read the lesson and you'll have to analyze. Okay, first step is to read, second step is to analyze, third step is to write down, and then the fourth step is to write down fully. Okay, write down officially. That is the thing. Okay, elements describe at least 2 traits of the character. If it is not 2, you can describe as many traits he has. It's not compulsory that you have to describe only 2. Then the description may include information about what character looks like. Imagine what Uncle Podger would look like, If it is not given in your book, you can create your own imagination that this character is something funny, so he might look a certain way, right? So I think you are very good in imagining all these things. So I know that you'll be doing it very perfectly. Then what the character says. So you have to go into the second step, that is analysis of the character. So if you analyze the character, you'll understand what does he say, how does he say, how he puts the blame on everyone. That those things you'll understand the character of the person, because what person says tells a lot about the character, right? Yes. What the character does, what he does everything very in a foolish manner. So this is what the character is doing. So what does the character feels? This also you will understand when you do the analysis after reading. And what does the character say about what others say about the character? What do other characters in the story say about the main character? Okay, so this also, all these things you will be finding out after reading the second step, analysis, and the third step is to write down short notes that you understand, and then later on officially write it down. Okay, all these are steps of writing character analysis. I hope you all have understood, students. Okay, in your book also they have given for certain hints in the Communicate with Cambridge book that how you have to write a character sketch. So I'll just read out. First is the introduction of the character, then the physical appearance, how the character looks, okay, what kind of clothes he wears. Does he wear a hat? Does he wear a blazer? Does he wear a coat? How does he look? Is he short? Is he little stout? Is he little fat? Is he thin? Is he lean? So this depends on your analysis, your imagination. If the appearance is not given in your book, you will write your own imagination. If the appearance is given by the author, you are going to write that only. Okay, then you're not going to use your own brains, right? Then character's background. Who is he? Who is the character? What relation he has? Is he somebody's uncle? Is he somebody's father? Is she somebody's mother? Right? That. Character's manner of speaking. How does he speak? Does he speak in a very taunting way? Does he speak very politely? Does he speak like he's blaming everything on others? This is personality of the character. How is the personality? That means how is the basic trait of the basic nature of the character. Then the analysis of the character's relationship with others. So what kind of relationship does he have with the other family members, like Uncle Podger? What kind of relationship he has with other family members? How are other family members treating him? How is he treating other family members? Okay, all this you'll find when you'll be doing the analysis and reading. These are the two important things. Okay, students, now we come to the next thing, that is Ozymandias. Ozymandias will have alliteration. What is alliteration, students? So there are two things that often students get confused in. So one is alliteration and one is repetition. Repetition is when a word or a whole phrase is repeated multiple times to give importance or emphasis or to give a rhythmic effect. Okay, so that is called as repetition. Okay, so if I use the word you multiple times, you in a poem, so what am I doing? I am giving more importance or emphasis on you, yes, but also I am trying to create a poetic rhythmic effect. Okay, that is repetition. But alliteration is something very different from repetition, so I want you all not to get confused. Okay, students, I want you to just take a look at this slide. So this is the, you can pause here, students, and this is just an example of how the character sketch of Uncle Podger is written. It does not mean that you copy paste the exact same thing. I want you to try to do it from the analysis and the reading. Okay, this will create a more beautiful write-up. This is just an example. You can take ideas from here also. Okay, so now we come to alliteration, students. Alliteration is the use of same letter or sound at the beginning of the word, okay, that are close together, as in he built a big boat. So the sound of something is the sound of anything is what is happening. The sound is being repeated, in a poem or in a book, or in a story. That is called as alliteration, when the sound of the initial word ka initial letter is repeated. Okay, and just give me 1 second. Okay, for example, I'll just give you an example from the poem Ozymandias. In Ozymandias, students, you'll find that this line, and wrinkled lip of cold command. So cold command, you see the C and C is repeated, the sound of C is repeated, cold command, right? So this is alliteration. So this sentence, this highlighted words will be the example of alliteration. Like if in this slide, if you see, the example is he built a big boat. So the sound of B is repeated, students. Big boat, right? B, B, B. 3 times the sound of B is repeated. Built a big boat, right? B, B, B is repeated, right, students? So this is the example of alliteration where the sound of the consonant is repeated. You please pay attention to here also. The sound of vowel, not the vowel, but the consonant is repeated. Now what is a consonant? Anything that is not a vowel is called as a consonant. So anything that is not A, E, I, O, U, other than the alphabets A, E, I, O, U, 5 vowels, A, E, I, O, U is consonant. Any alphabet other than A, E, I, O, U is consonant. So the sound only of the consonant, students, if it is repeated, okay, the sound, then it is called as alliteration. Like in the example given to you in this slide is, he built a big boat. B, B, B. The sound of B, B, B is repeated. Built a big boat, right? Okay. I hope this is clear to you. Next we have the imagery. Imagery, I think we have been learning from the first lesson. Imagery is something that the writer uses so that the, whenever the reader is reading something, what happens, an image is created in the minds of the reader. That is called as imagery, okay? So there are 4 types of imagery we have already learned. So what are they, students? I want you to say it with me. First is auditory, kinesthetic, then there is what we say, sight, imagery of the sight, and then there is tactile imagery, imagery of touch, okay? So these are the 4 basic imageries that are given to you in your book, but there are many other kinds. We'll be learning other kinds whenever we feel it is the time to learn about them, okay? But in your book right now there are 4 imageries given to you all, okay, students? Then we have autobiography. So autobiography is a type of literary work that wherein we write about our own self. Like, for example, if I imagine that I am a very old statue that is given in your book, page number 71 of literature reader, right, students? So if I imagine that I am a very lonely statue in a desert and I faced a lot of such challenges, so I will imagine that I am that statue. I will not write that statue. No, I am not talking about that statue. I am imagining that I am the statue myself, right, students? I am the statue myself and I am facing such problems. So you will always write, one day I was built by the sculptor and I was built in this desert. I was very I was very attractive in the starting. People around the world came to visit me. So you will keep yourself in the shoes of that thing that is given to you. Like if I say write an autobiography of a tree, so you will imagine that you are a tree. You will not write about a tree. That will become a biography. If I write about somebody else, that becomes a biography. Auto means what? Auto. What is the meaning of auto? Auto means self. So I am imagining that I am a tree, right? So if I am a tree, I'll write about myself. I will imagine I am that tree. Suppose I am a mango tree. I am a mango tree. I was sown by this person. I became big. I was taken a good care by my family members. I used to give them happiness by giving them mangoes, sweet mangoes. Right? So that is autobiography, right, students? Okay. Now I hope you have understood what is autobiography. If you see in page number 72, hints are also provided to you, students. So if you take hints into consideration and write, I am sure that the autobiography will turn out to be wonderful, right? Okay. Next we have writing a letter to your friend inviting to your country. So this is a creative writing, students. Letter inside body letter I'll not be telling you because by now you are in 7th standard, you should know how to write a letter. You know, the body, whatever it includes, that you should know how to write. But I'll give you the format. This is a format, students. So you'll be writing everything on the left hand side. The address, date, salutations means like dear friend, dear Rahul, dear Ashwini, something like that. Yeah, my dear friend, right? That is the salutation. Then you'll have the body of the letter. That means the whole content. Hello, how are you? I missed you a lot. I wish you would come to my country to visit. We have a lot of exotic dishes to eat, and all these things is the body, whatever you want to convey through the letter, that is called as the body of the letter. Then you have the sender's name and signature. No need to do signature. If you don't do, no need to do signature actually. Only write the name. Thank you, my dear loving friend. Okay, yours lovingly, comma, your name. That's it. No need to do your signature and all these things, right, students? So students, this was the end of today's revision. I hope you all have understood everything that was taught to you all, and everything is freshened up in your mind. If at all you all have any doubts, you can comment down in the comment section. And do not forget that do not unsubscribe from my channel, because there also you'll be getting some updates, not from the school, not the school updates, but updates related to English teaching, right, students? And you can be subscribed to both the channels, that is Pratibha International School channel also, and my personal channel also. Don't think that now Miss is not posting there, so we'll unsubscribe. Okay, and I want you to revise, I want you to take notes, I want you to write and send it to me. And don't write everything in one day. One day, you know, one day, keep one day, like you are writing today, you are writing an autobiography. Tomorrow you'll be writing tomorrow you'll be. Okay, students, so I hope you all have understood, and don't subscribe from my channel, right, students? Be subscribed to both the channels. I hope you enjoyed the video. And students, if you have any doubts, you can email it to me, or you can comment down in the comment section. I'll be available every time, you know that. Till then, take care of yourselves and your family. We'll meet in the next video. Bye, students.